Most people think getting fat is simple. Calories in, calories out. Eat less, move more. If you are gaining weight, you must be eating too much. If you cannot lose it, you must not be trying hard enough. This story is wrong. Not just a little wrong. Fundamentally, biologically wrong, and the reason it is wrong has a name you rarely hear in diet conversations. Hormones. Your body weight is not determined by willpower. It is determined by a network of chemical signals that control when you feel hungry, when you feel full, how much energy your cells burn, and where your body decides to store fat. These signals are hormones, and in the modern world, they are being hijacked. The most important hormone in this story is insulin. You have probably heard of insulin as the thing that diabetics inject, but insulin is not just for diabetics. Every living person produces insulin. It is released by your pancreas every time you eat, especially when you eat carbohydrates. Its job is to take the sugar that just entered your bloodstream and move it into your cells, where it can be used for energy. But insulin does something else that almost nobody talks about. It is also a fat storage hormone. When insulin is present in your blood, your fat cells receive a clear and unambiguous command. Store fat. Do not release it. Lock it in. At the same time, insulin tells the rest of your body to stop burning fat for fuel. Why would it do this? Because from your body's perspective, you just ate. There is plenty of energy available from the food. Why would you need to burn stored fat? Store the excess, burn the fresh supply. This makes perfect evolutionary sense. The problem begins when insulin is constantly elevated. If you eat 6 times a day, as many diet plans recommend, including snacks between meals, your insulin never gets a chance to drop. If those meals are rich in refined carbohydrates, white bread, pasta, sugar, fruit juice, your insulin spikes even higher. And if you drink sugary beverages between meals, your insulin stays sky high around the clock. Under these conditions, your fat cells are locked in storage mode permanently. You can be eating at a calorie deficit and still struggle to lose fat because your own hormone is blocking access to it. This is why 2 people can eat the same number of calories and one gains weight while the other does not. The difference is what those calories do to their insulin. 100 calories of broccoli produces almost no insulin response. 100 calories of white bread, 100 calories of soda produces an enormous one. Same calories. Completely different hormonal message. Now, let us talk about the hormone that should protect you from overeating. It is called leptin. Leptin is produced by your fat cells themselves. The more fat you have, the more leptin you produce. Leptin travels to your brain, specifically to the hypothalamus, and delivers a message. It says that you have enough stored energy. You can stop eating. You can afford to burn more calories. This is your body's natural appetite suppressant and metabolism booster. But here is the cruel twist. When insulin is constantly elevated, something called leptin resistance develops. Your fat cells are screaming leptin at your brain, but your brain has stopped listening. It is like a radio that has turned up so loud for so long that the speakers have blown out. Your brain thinks you are starving, even though you have plenty of fat stored. So it does exactly what you would expect a starving brain to do. It increases hunger, it decreases energy expenditure, it makes you obsess over food. You are not weak. Your brain is being lied to by your own hormones. There is a third hormone in this triangle, and it is the one that tells you to eat in the first place. It is called ghrelin. Ghrelin is produced mainly in your stomach. When your stomach is empty, ghrelin levels rise and travel to your brain with a simple message: you are hungry. Eat now. When you eat, ghrelin drops and the hunger signal fades. But when you are sleep deprived, which many people are, ghrelin goes haywire. Even one night of poor sleep measurably increases ghrelin the next day. At the same time, sleep deprivation suppresses leptin, the fullness hormone, so you end up with a double hormonal assault. More hunger signals, fewer fullness signals, and the foods you crave under these conditions are not salads. Sleep-deprived people consistently reach for high-carbohydrate, high-fat foods. This is not a character flaw. It is your ghrelin talking. Then there is cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone. It is designed for short-term emergencies. A predator is chasing you. You need to run. Cortisol floods your bloodstream, releases stored glucose for quick energy, and sharpens your focus. Then the threat passes, cortisol drops, and everything returns to normal. This system works beautifully for the occasional saber-toothed tiger. It works terribly for a job you hate, a commute that makes you angry, a phone that buzzes with work emails at 10 o'clock at night, and a constant low-grade anxiety about bills, relationships, and the state of the world. Chronic stress means chronic cortisol, and chronic cortisol, like insulin, is a fat storage signal. Cortisol specifically encourages fat to be stored in the abdominal area, the dangerous visceral fat that wraps around your internal organs and drives inflammation. Cortisol also increases cravings for what scientists call highly palatable foods. Sugar, fat, salt, all combined in ways that do not exist in nature. Cortisol makes you want them, and it makes your body store the calories from them right around your belly. There is one more hormone that often gets overlooked. Your thyroid hormones, mainly T3 and T4, are the master regulators of your metabolism. They tell every cell in your body how fast to run its engine. If your thyroid is sluggish, your metabolism slows down. You burn fewer calories at rest, you feel tired, cold, and mentally foggy. Weight gain is almost inevitable. Thyroid function is sensitive to many of the same factors that disrupt other hormones. Chronic calorie restriction, the very thing people do to lose weight, can suppress thyroid function. Your body interprets severe calorie cutting as a famine. It responds by slowing your metabolism to conserve energy. This is why extreme dieting often leads to weight regain. You lose weight initially, but your metabolism has been throttled down. When you start eating normally again, your body, now in famine mode, stores every extra calorie as fat. This is not a failure of willpower. It is your thyroid protecting you from what it believes is starvation. Here is the part that should make you angry. For decades, the dominant medical and public health advice has been that weight loss is simply a matter of eating less and moving more. This advice ignores everything we just discussed. It pretends that a calorie is a calorie, regardless of what it does to your insulin. It pretends that hunger is a choice, rather than a primal hormonal drive. It pretends that metabolism is static, and it blames the patient when the advice fails. The reality is that obesity is a hormonal disorder. It is not caused by a lack of willpower. It is caused by a hormonal environment that favors fat storage over fat burning, hunger over satisfaction, and metabolic slowdown over metabolic health. So what do you do about it? You stop fighting your hormones and start working with them. The single most powerful thing you can do is lower your insulin. You do this not by eating less, but by eating differently. Reduce refined carbohydrates and especially sugar. These are the foods that spike insulin the hardest. Replace them with protein, healthy fats, and fiber-rich vegetables. These foods produce a much smaller insulin response. The second thing is to eat less often. Every time you eat, you trigger an insulin release. If you are eating 6 times a day, you are keeping your insulin elevated for the entire day. Give your body long stretches without food. Third, fix your sleep. This is not a luxury. It is a hormonal necessity. Aim for 7 to 8 hours. When you sleep well, ghrelin stays under control. Leptin stays effective. Cortisol follows its natural rhythm. Fourth, manage your stress. You cannot just decide to not be stressed, but you can decide to build stress buffers. A daily walk outside. 10 minutes of quiet breathing. Time away from your phone. Social connection. These things lower cortisol. Fifth and finally, support your thyroid. Your thyroid needs specific nutrients: iodine, selenium, zinc, and iron. It also needs adequate calories. Severely restricting calories can crash your thyroid. None of this is a magic pill. But when you understand the hormones, you stop blaming yourself. You realize that your body is not your enemy. It is doing exactly what it evolved to do in an environment it was never designed for. The answer is not more willpower. The answer is to change the signals. Lower the insulin. Calm the cortisol. Feed the leptin. Quiet the ghrelin. Support the thyroid. When you do this, your body stops fighting you and starts working with you. Weight becomes easier to lose because your hormones are finally allowing it. Hunger becomes manageable because your brain can finally hear the signal that you are full. And you realize that you were never weak. You were just fighting a chemical war with the wrong weapons.